Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to your Coaching with Excellence Learning Forum, How to Cultivate Emotional and Mental Wellness. I am Christine Santayana, and I am the Country Director of Quintegral Philippines and also the APAC Sales Director of Asia. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the team of Quintegral and Trinacate today. And also, last but not least, to you leaders, I'd like to acknowledge your presence. You are all coming from the APAC region, namely the countries of India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, the Philippines, and of course, Singapore. This topic that we have today is actually very timely. How do we cultivate emotional and mental wellness and use coaching as a powerful tool to be able to balance both our personal and our professional lives, especially during these uncertain times, and also how to manage the chaos. Coaching is actually one of my passions, and I'm very happy to say that with us today is one of my mentors and executive coach who will actually walk us through in the next hour to offer a fresh perspective about coaching. It actually reminds me of this coach who actually said that coaching can take you to uncharted territories that you actually never thought that you would go to. I have my own personal journey through coaching, and I have used it both in transforming both my personal and professional life. So before we start and we get this party started, there are just a few ground rules that I'd like to share with you at this point. So these are very simple. And of course, I'm assuming that most of you have probably attended a learning forum series by Quintegral before and Tranucate. And these are just some of the reminders that we would like to encourage you to follow so that we could make the most out of this hour. So first of all, stay focused. And of course, we would welcome your questions and feel free to use the chat box. And at certain points, if our subject matter expert, his name is John Francois, asks a question and you would like to speak, so go ahead and please unmute yourself. But of course, all of our microphones will be on mute because we're expecting a very large group today. And of course, just to maximize your bandwidth, I don't know about you, but here in Manila, it's been rainy this past few days. To preserve your bandwidth, make sure that you turn off some of the gadgets that you are not using. And of course, participate fully. And of course, and last but not least, we encourage you to turn your camera on so that we can actually see you beyond the black boxes that we see in the gallery and also your names. We are also going to be recording this session just to let you know. And at this point, I'm actually very honored to introduce to you John Francois Hadin. I hope he will allow us to call him also JF. We call him JF for short, and it's just so much easier to say. But John Francois had expertise in coaching and facilitation and assessment, has been built over a 25-year career in key leadership roles, including a regional CEO position with the American Management Association Global Network. Significantly, because our topic is coaching today, he's actually a highly credentialed coach by ICF, as well as a registered mentor coach and a coach supervisor. John Francois focuses on integral coaching, that's long-term excellence, the ability to self-correct, and the competence in being self-generating. And he has lived in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia for decades now. And interestingly enough, he's also an aircraft pilot. On a personal note, he's actually a former boss of mine and is also currently my mentor and my coach. And from being a former boss, he's now a very dear friend who I highly respect and look up to and also admire. And he actually is a living example of how transformational coaching could be. So I'm actually excited with what he has to share with us today. And I hope you engage and interact with him and make most of the time that we have with him. So without further ado, may I present to you John Francois, and please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you, Christine, and welcome to each and every one of the 120 of you. Good afternoon for most of you. I'm currently in Belgium, so it's 9:38 a.m. for me, sometime in the afternoon for you. Before I get into coaching, I'd like to spend a minute or two to focus on the second part of the title for today, Cultivating Emotional and Mental Wellness. I suppose it is the same for you. As a coach and as a human being, I realize every day, or I'm reminded every day, how challenging the current circumstances are, how demanding it is on people. And it's true for me. I don't know whether it's true for you, but I kept on thinking, okay, after this wave, it's going to get better and we're going to get out of this. And then there is another wave that comes in. So there are days I see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, and there are days I wonder, when is this ever going to stop? So it is important for us professionally and personally to recognize the demand that is placed on us, mentally, emotionally, physically. This has never happened in our lifetime. And this has not happened in the lifetime of the one or two generations before us. You probably would have to go back to wars in Europe, World War II, to experience this type of pressure on us. And that's why I feel that coaching is a relevant topic today. Christine has shared with you that for all of my professional life, 30 years by now, my focus has been on learning and development. By accident, I'm a computer scientist by training, but when I joined Apple Computers while I was doing my master degree, I ended up in their training department rather than developing software for them. And 10 years or so ago, I started seeing coaching showing up here and there. Prior to that, I'd been a trainer, I'd been a facilitator, leadership training. And the more I looked at it and the more I got interested, and the more I got interested and experimented with it for myself and offering it to others, the more I realized the power of coaching, the more I saw how valuable a tool it was to whoever is interested in their own development, professionally or personally, or interested in the development of others, L&D, learning and development professionals. So I invested more and more in coaching because arguably I knew nothing about it. I knew the word. I had never been coached in my life. I certainly had never coached. Or maybe I was saying I was coaching, but I had no idea what I was talking about. And I discovered a modality that has got so much potential, and more potential that is being realized. Coaching is a relatively new profession. The International Coach Federation, that is the largest coaching body in the world, 49,000 members, I believe by now, is only 25 years old. John Whitmore, that wrote the first seminal book on coaching, wrote it in 1985, 36 years ago, at the very, very beginning of coaching. In Asia, where I've lived for 29 years and where most of you, I suppose, are, coaching has had a name on the door for 10 years, 12 years, maybe in some countries 15 years. So it's something very new. And that's what I invite us to explore together today. What is that thing called coaching? What are we really talking about? Even today, so many times I engage in a conversation about coaching and realize that people are talking about, say, mentoring or something different. And once we are clear about what coaching is and what coaching is not, then not what? Yeah, what are we talking about? What are the benefits of coaching to the coachee, to the client receiving the coaching? What does it take to become a coach? Some of you may be curious. Some of you are probably already coaches. So we'll look at the ICF, International Coaching Federation, core competencies. What are the competencies for one to be a coach? And from there, what does coaching achieve? What are the benefits of coaching versus the other modalities? I'd love to engage in a conversation with you, but of course there are 135 of you, so I won't get to talk to each and every one of you, but as much as possible, we'll make room for conversation. And if you have questions, you're welcome to type them into the chat room anytime, and we'll make time to answer them. Let me share my screen and start with this. This is why I am a coach today. This is why 4 years ago I sold my leadership development business and created a new business that does nothing else but coaching. I've let go of every other modality because of that red dot. And I'm 54 years old, so as you can see, it took me a long time to figure out what that red dot was for me. And today I'd like to explore whether that red dot, what that red dot is for you, whether coaching is part of that red dot. So if you ask yourself in these 4 different quadrants, which is true for you in terms of coaching? We've established that given the current circumstances, the world needs it, no doubt about that. The other 3 questions are for you to answer. Nobody else can answer it for you. And from that, another belief that I hold, that I've discovered over the years, is that no 2 coaches are alike. Every coach is unique. My supervisor, my coaching supervisor, coined a sentence that says, "Who I am is how I coach." Who I am is how I coach. And of course, all of us are unique. And therefore, how we coach is unique. And the beauty about that is that if we are unique, we're not competing. Because if we are all offering exactly the same thing, well, there are dozens or hundreds of coaches around you, and you're competing for a limited market. But if we let go of that view and we say each of us is unique as a coach and as a human being, or any profession that is yours today, then what is my unique gift to the world? Let me click there to move to the next slide. So the first thing that I'd like to do is to look a little bit at what is coaching versus other services. Because coaching is not a regulated profession. If you're an architect, if you are an engineer, typically, the profession is regulated. But in coaching, anybody can call himself a coach or herself a coach. And there are plenty of people outside there that call themselves coaches and may not be coaching. So how is coaching different from therapy, from consulting, from mentoring, from training, or from athletic development? Well, from therapy is not an easy answer. They are both helping professions, but somehow there is a line in between the two. And I used to think it was a very clear line, but I now know it's not that clear a line. And the best way I know how to crystallize the two is that therapy is primarily about the past. To go from the present into the past, address whatever happened in the past and come back into the present. Coaching is primarily from the present to the future. Is future oriented, is outcome oriented. So where am I today? Where would I like to be? How do I go from where I am today to where I like to be? And the one thing important for a coach is to be able to recognize when a client requires therapy rather than coaching. Because if I'm a coach and I'm not a therapist, I cannot offer therapy. I need to refer the person in front of me to a professional that deals with whichever issue the client is facing. This being said, therapy is really valuable. And it used to be, I don't know whether it's still the case, that when people were told by their company, I'm getting you a coach, they felt, oh, what's wrong? Am I about to get fired? When actually is usually the very opposite. Is because you demonstrate potential. You are high potential, you are part of the succession planning, you contribute significantly to the organization, and therefore the organization invests in providing you a coach. I mean, the Olympic Games are currently happening in Tokyo. Some of you might be from Tokyo. Every single athlete in the Olympic game not only has one coach, but has got several coaches. Because that 1/100th of a second different in running 100 meter makes the difference in between a gold medal and no medal. For that matter, makes the difference at being at the Olympics and not being in the Olympics. Consulting, what I really like about coaching versus consulting, consultant, you pay me for me to do the job, provide you the solution. Coaching, I don't do the work for you. You do the work for yourself. Who am I to do the work for you? This is your life. And there is a fundamental belief in coaching that you've got the capacity to do it yourself. So that's really, I'm not going to give you the fish. You're going to learn how to fish for yourself so that you can get fish for the rest of your life. You're not dependent on me. I am not a subject matter expert. I'm just there to hold that space for you to unfold. The fundamental belief in coaching is that the potential lies within. The answer is with you. You have unlimited potential, and the only job of a coach is to support you for that potential to come out, to reveal itself. And every time I coach, I marvel at how much potential is untapped in the client in front of me. And little by little, the client marvel at how much potential there is in every. Awareness arises. Mentoring is the one that is the most confusing in between coaching and mentoring. Very often people call mentoring coaching or coaching mentoring, but they're very, very different. Mentoring usually is a senior with a junior, somebody that has got significant knowledge, experience, sharing that knowledge and that experience with somebody that has got less of it. It's really a transfer. I'm about to retire. I've been there for 30 years, and you're a rookie, and it would be a pity if when I retire, all of that goes with me, so I'm going to pass it on to you. Really, really useful modality. We're not saying that coaching is better than any of these. We're just saying they are different. And in mentoring, there is the idea that I'm the senior and you are the junior. In coaching, another fundamental element is it is a relationship of equal. And in Asia, that has got far-reaching consequences. We remain fairly hierarchical. The relationship we've got to elders is culturally significant. Then training, the difference that strikes me in between coaching and training is that training, if I'm the trainer, I've got the agenda. I created the manual and we're going to flip the pages and this is what we're going to cover. Whether it is relevant for you or not, everybody is going to get the same. We can tailor a little bit to individual participants, but the content is there for everybody. In coaching, it is the Cinderella shoe. It is only for you. That shoe that will fit your feet and nobody else's feet in the world. What a luxury. What a treat. What a gift. The coach is going to be there for me and only for me. I choose what topic I put on the table. And I'm supported to explore that topic, to achieve that outcome just for me. Big, big, big difference. And for 25 years of my life, I was doing training. And I decided to completely let go of it because I witnessed the impact of training and I witnessed the impact of coaching. And I said, this is the impact that I want to make in the world. You might either smile or dismiss what I'm about to say, but I'll say it anyway. In my experience, coaching for every client, every time, changes life. Coaching is life-changing. And when that was said to me at the beginning, I dismissed it, which is why I offer you the possibility to do the same. Nothing I didn't do. And not every time it is life-changing. I would go as far as to say that nearly every session is life-changing because it is so precise, focused directly to you right here, right now. Whether it be emotional wellness, mental wellness, corporate performance, whatever the topic is. And the freedom of the topic is yours. Of course, it's different from athletic development. You call a football coach, but he's leading the team. That is not what coaches here are doing. So if this is not any of that, what is it? I'll just share with you the definition of coaching from the International Coach Federation. That is what ICF says coaching is. Coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process. Thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Wow, that's a lot of powerful words. So where do we start? Well, maybe we can start with that one, potential. As I mentioned already, as a coach, we hold the belief that the client has got significant untapped potential. And I suppose all of you know that to be true. We use so little of our potential. If we're an organization, we pay salaries at the end of the month and use so little of the potential of our people. So what is it worth for me as an individual or for me as an organization to be able to use, to tap more of the potential that I have or that we have. Equal resources allocated, greater outcome. Well, that's an increase in productivity right there. When I was the CEO of AMA in this part of the world, I used to tell CEOs in front of me, you're sitting on a gold mine and you're not mining it. They were telling me, we don't have enough talent, we need more. You have it, you're just not using it. And it's true personally. Each and every one of us here right now, we only use a fraction of what it is that we have to offer to ourselves and to the world. And the second two words is personal and professional. For the longest time, I was focusing on professional development. I was a hardshot corporate learning and development professional. And then little by little, I woke up to the reality that if I achieve a perfect outcome on professional development, but I do not see the human being behind the professional, and there is something that is locked personally, it's not going to work professionally. If I've got big problem at home, it will impact my professional performance. So coaching offers us the possibility to be with both the professional and the personal, and to dance in between the two, whichever is present, so that both the personal potential and the professional potential is maximized. And since it is boundaryless, since it is unlimited, we never fully maximize. There is always more available. Isn't that wonderful? There is always more. Versus a paradigm of scarcity. There is not enough. I am not enough. That is primarily what I see in front of me as a coach. People that come in one way or another believe I am not enough. There is something missing. When I this or that, then I will. What if enough now? And as coaches, we just inspire. How do we do that? Thought-provoking and creative. The metaphor I like is shake the coconut tree, let the coconut fall on the head, and the head goes spinning, and oh, now I see. So that's how I look at coaching. Magical. Actually, I call it sacred work. If we go a little deeper, what is coaching made of? These are the 8 core competencies of ICF, of the International Coach Federation. So if you're interested to become a coach, these are the competencies that you will develop. At least if you want to be credentialed by the International Coach Federation. And again, it's the largest credentialing body in the world. 38,000 coaches in the world have a credential by the International Coach Federation. And these are the core competencies we focus on developing. So number 1, demonstrate ethical practice. And we could speak a lot about this, but I'll just say one thing about it. Coaching is a helping profession. And the fundamental basic rule of any helping profession is do no harm. So that is what the code of ethics that every coach signs on to commits himself or herself to. Do no harm. For example, confidentiality. What happens in the room stays in the room. Even if I coach an individual client within an organization, if his boss or HR come and ask me, what were you discussing? I'm not telling you. If you'd like to know, feel free to go and ask my client, but this is not for me to share. Because if the client knows that I'm going to share what he tells me, he's going to be mindful of what to tell and what not to tell. And therefore, we won't be able to get to the truth. And therefore, we won't maximize the potential. So we give ourselves that framework that makes coaching safe. The second one embodies a coaching mindset. And what you see in front of you are brand new core competencies. They became official on July 1st. So they've got 25, or today is 28 days of existence. And that was added because if who I am is how I coach, I need to take care of myself as a coach in order to be able to take care of my clients. So a coach has got a commitment to lifelong development. Embodies really a coaching mindset. Is not just at the surface, is not just in the words. If I say it in a manner that is a little bit more profound, is that we cannot serve people at a higher level of development than our own. And therefore, it's absolutely critical as a coach to develop ourselves so that we can serve. Because as a coach, we enter the world of a client. And if we're not familiar with the territory, we cannot enter the world of the client. And I'll say something else provocative after saying earlier that coaching changes life every time, is that in my experience running a coaching school, people that come to a coaching school to become coaches are people that have faced challenging life circumstances, sometimes that carry trauma. And it is from these challenging life circumstances that they develop the capacity to serve. And usually that is the niche they find for themselves as a coach, what makes them unique. So ask yourself, what challenging life circumstances have I overcome? And how does that provide me the foundation to serve others? There are always two sides to a coin, the negative and the positive. And that's another beauty about coaching. Coaching happens in the absence of judgment. I do not judge the client. I accept the client for who they are, whoever they are. Number 3, establishes and maintains agreement. As we saw in the definition of coaching, coaching is outcome oriented. So from the get-go, we look at what is it that you would like to accomplish. The client chooses the coach, and we come to an agreement. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? If we're not clear about where you are now, we don't know where to start. If you're not clear to where you want to go, well, we might go round and round and round. It's going to be a nice social conversation, but somebody pays for that, so it has to be outcome oriented. Actually, there are clear measures of success. By the end of the professional coaching relationship, this and this and this will have been achieved. So you can measure a return on investment in coaching. For some individual and certainly for some organization, that's important. Number 4, cultivate trust and safety. You will not achieve a coaching outcome if there isn't a relationship in between the client and the coach. So the coach is responsible to build that relationship. And that relationship creates the safety for vulnerability to arise, and therefore for the true issue to be explored. And right at the core of that is trust and respect. Hence again, embodying a coaching mindset, developing our ability to respect what is different from us. Because our client is never going to be like us. Once we have that in place, then at its core, coaching is about presence. I am here for you. That's pretty much the only thing I do as a coach. I'm here for you. Nothing else exists. I let go of everything else, and we are in this safe container at the service of your development. And once we have created that relationship, we've set the foundation, we've co-created the relationship, then we start doing the work of a coach. And what is the word of a coach? Listen. That's primarily what a coach does. Listen actively. I hear you. I see you. And for most people, that in itself is a profound experience. Very seldom do we get the opportunity to be seen and to be heard unconditionally, without judgment. In our day-to-day interaction, we are heard and we are seen for the sake of something. I hear you, but I've got an agenda. As a coach, I don't have an agenda. My only agenda is to serve you. I am here for you. And therefore, the client speaks, shares. And often, as the client speaks, they hear themselves speaking, and that alone already evokes awareness. I've not heard ask a question yet. I've not said anything. I'm just listening and just creating that space for people to be able to get it out, and hearing themselves getting it out is already solutioning, is already developmental. With some clients, pretty much I sit there for an hour, and at the end of the hour, they say, wow, thank you so much. That was so good. I achieved so much. It's like, I didn't say a thing. That's the magic in believing that the client has the potential, that the answers lie within, not outside. It is not for me to provide the answer. It is for me to listen. Now, of course, at some point you listen and people run out of anything to say. So you've got a number of tools at your disposal to evoke awareness. Primarily, asking powerful questions. And then people answer the question and they hear themselves providing their answers. And they go, oh, wow. I'd never looked at it like that. That's the aha moment. And different people have got different ways to have aha moment. For some people, it's really big and right in front of you. For some people, you hardly see it. For some people, it's like the aha moment will happen an hour or a day or a week later. That's fine, no judgment. It's you, you're unique, however it happens. And then finally, facilitating client growth. The awareness arises. What was unconscious is now conscious. Then we transform it into action. Now that you're aware of it, what are you going to do about it? And again, we're not going to tell the client what they're going to do about it. We're going to let them figure it out for themselves. So we'll ask them, with this awareness, what are your options? And little by little, they will come with their options, and we'll keep asking questions. So they create their own awareness, they design their own actions. And we all know that if it's my own awareness, my own actions, there are higher chances that I'm going to do it if rather than somebody gives me the answer and tells me what to do. I don't know about you, but I've never been very good at people telling me what to do. So that's it. That's what coaching is. So there are two things I'd like to do from here. I'm going to stop the sharing.
JF, there's a question. Would you like to take one right now? As a
Sure.
breaker. It has something to do with what you just presented and to your point earlier. This is from Farhaz from Sri Lanka. Can people who have not had too many challenges in life also be successful and effective coaches? It's a very good question.
Thank you, Farhaz, in Sri Lanka. I've been to Sri Lanka 3 times. I love Sri Lanka. Well, there are 2 ways I could answer your question, Farhaz. The polite way would be to say yes. And now the truthful answer, or my view of the world, is that we all have faced difficult circumstances. And therefore it's an hypothetical question. If we had had a perfect life, could we serve? My answer is I believe we couldn't, because we couldn't empathize with what difficult means. But in one way or another, we all have faced challenges. So what is the core of your question from my point of view is that your niche as a coach will be these specific circumstances that are yours and are different from anybody else. And for some of us, we've not done the work to be aware of that. So again, to develop the mindset of a coach, we do the personal inquiry work to go and find out what do I carry? What are my shadows in psychological terms? And as we shed light on these shadows, this becomes the fuel that enables us to serve others. Does that answer your question? If I had your face in front of me and now were to see you doing like that, I would know, but this is not a luxury I've got today. Oh yes, I've got your face in front of me and you do that. Thank you. Are there other questions?
Yes, there's one more, and I know that you want to do an activity, but I think it's crucial also to ask this. This was sent via direct message, so not everybody sees it. It's from Alfredo. He's asking, is there really such a thing as a life coach?
Alfredo, a life coach. Well, it's a label. And in coaching, like in many other things, labels. It could be a life coach, it could be a corporate coach, an executive coach, a performance coach, a family coach, as many labels as you can think of. So what matters to me is what is behind the label. And Christine shared with you that my label is integral coach. And that in a way answers your question. If by life coach you mean I'm with you personally rather than professionally, I've already shared earlier today that to me, there is no such thing as parts. If I only deal with one part of you, there is so much I can accomplish. We can evoke awareness and design actions for that one part, and that might address issues in that part. But unless we look at the whole human being in front of us as a coach in our client, then we are not really listening to everything. We're just listening to that part. So that is what I see as a limit of life coaching, but the same way I see as a limit of performance coaching, is that we say these are the boundaries. This is the box in which we're going to operate. And you saw my slide earlier, there are no boxes. Boxes are mental creation, limiting behaviors. So if you say that the type of work with the type of clients I have is kind of life coaching, of course, there are plenty of people that do that and never go to the performance or the corporate part. But what label you put on it does not matter and gets in the way when it sets boundaries to how you serve your clients. That is what coaching presence core competency is. I am here for you now, and whatever is now, we will be with, whatever it is labeled. I'll give you an example. I was doing hardcore executive performance coaching with a C-1 executive, a direct report to the CEO in a Fortune 500 company. So a really big corporate shot. And we were working on all of these KPIs. And one session, the client started crying in front of me. Not the type of person that normally cries. So I stayed with that. And the client shared, my mother just passed away. Did I continue coaching on performance? No, we spent the hour on grief, because it is what was present right there at that moment. It is what was at the service of the client. That's the only thing we do as a coach. We are at the service of the client, whatever that means. Does that answer your question? I see you on the screen, so I'm going to see whether you do that or that. Thank you, Alfredo.
We have one more, JF. Two more.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is from Erwin. He says, hi, John. How do you coach if one of your colleagues is a suppressive one?
Is that? What is the word?
Suppressive.
What is the meaning of that word? I'm not sure I understand.
Erwin, do you mind unmuting yourself and clarifying that? And also turning on your video if you don't mind. Hello, Erwin. Okay, maybe let's just get back to that one because they're troublemaker. Troublemaker.
Oh, okay. Well, before you clarify, I was about to say, the only thing that it takes for coaching to work is for the clients to be willing to be coached. If the client is not willing to be coached, don't even try to coach. And that happens because sometimes the company decides coaching and the client, the individual, is like, no, I don't want that. Very often it's because they don't understand what it is. So once you have a conversation about what it is, it's, hey, actually the company pays for it, might as well I benefit from it. But if a client is challenging, it's because there is pain. It's because there is suffering. So we don't judge bad client, uncooperative client. But we become curious, as we always ask coaches, and we listen. What is it that you're really saying? What is it that you're not saying? And if we've created that trust and safety, it will come out. And that becomes the coaching topic. And we are present to that pain and that suffering. And we help the client to explore it. And as the client explores it, the client makes sense of it, and therefore the pain and the suffering diminishes. And over time can go completely. So again, we are with what is, because if we're not, that will get in the way of whatever else we would put on the table. And we don't set the agenda. We are there at the service of the client. So in the absence of judgment, there is no such thing as a difficult client. There is such thing as a client in pain. And again, during the current circumstances, there is a lot of pain. In professional terms, actually, the current circumstances are traumatizing to every one of us. Traumatizing. Mentally, emotionally, physically. Hence, coaching is even more important today than it is prior to the pandemic, which is why we see so many people coming to gain a coaching certification, combined with the fact that, of course, a lot of people have lost their job and their ability to earn money. And for some, coaching is a new opportunity to earn a living and to contribute to the world. So we won't have the time I was intending for you to get into a small group and talk among yourself about how coaching resonates with you. But I'll put the question to you for you to leave with them today. How does coaching resonate with you as potentially a recipient of coaching? Have you ever had a coach? Are you curious about having a coach? Or if you're in a corporate position where you're responsible for others, do you see coaching as an avenue for others to develop? Or the other side that I'm even more passionate about, are you interested to be a coach? If you already are a coach, how are you developing the mindset of a coach? New core competency number 2. And if you're not a coach, are you curious to explore becoming a coach for the sake of being a coach, offering coaching? Or we see a good number of people coming to learn about coaching, not because they want to quit their current job and be a full-time coach, but because they see value in the coaching skills, in the coaching competencies, in their current job. If you're a leader, coaching skills are really powerful. If you're a salesperson, coaching skills are really powerful. For that matter, if you're a parent, coaching skills are very powerful. If you're a spouse, coaching skills are very powerful. Our participants always come back and say, from one module to the next, I use coaching with my kids and my relationship with my kids has completely changed. I use coaching with my spouse. No, that one cannot, bad idea. I mean, women can coach their husbands, but husbands cannot coach their wives. Sorry, I'm getting carried away. Other questions, Christine?
Yes, there's one more actually, and a few comments that they appreciate what you just shared and the likes. But we have one from Elsbeth, and she says, "Hi JF, what if a team member is not comfortable to open up and or share their goals? How would we coach them?" Sort of related from the other one, but in a different way.
Well, we're coming to the end of our session, so I'll be very blunt. If the client is not comfortable to coach, it's because the coach is not good. It is the job of the coach to make the client comfortable. And I can tell you, my experience is most of the time, if not all the time, within minutes, people tell me things they don't tell their wife or husband or the people. It's incredible how people open up when a safe, respectful space has been offered to them. It's therapeutic in a way, which is why the line in between therapy and coaching is a gray line. We all need to be seen. We all need to be heard. The most fundamental human need is to be seen and to be heard. So when we are afforded that opportunity, genuinely, no judgment, no expectations, the heart opens. Never happens. Any other questions or comments?
There are hold on. Can one coach if one is a supervisor or manager who also disciplines them? I'd like to connect this actually to the question earlier by, was that Elspeth? Because I think it had something to do with that. If a coachee has a hard time opening up, and also because they work within the same organization, or if the one coaching is the boss or the manager, there must be some wall of protection also, or I can't really open up and share because there might be some repercussions if I do. So I guess it's sort of connected with this question by Maria Teresa.
Yeah, that's a big question, and we're short of time, so I'll give a very short answer, and we can connect directly to give you a longer answer if you wish. That's why external coaches are valuable, because they're independent. There is no prior relationship. There is no conflict of interest. But many organizations have internal coaches, and many organizations develop a coaching culture and expect managers and leaders to coach their direct supervisees. But part of the development of these leaders and managers is how can you be both the direct supervisor and the coach at the same time? That is part of the code of ethics. That is part of the agreement. So that needs to be managed carefully by the coach, manager's leader, and by the client's direct report, which is why an agreement is so important. And it needs to be explicit, not necessarily in writing, but explicit. You have a good agreement in place, everything else works fine. You miss something in your agreement, it will catch up with you. But that's true for everything else. So I'm delighted to see that you've got questions. All of us, Christine, her team, and myself, are at your disposal if you want to have any further conversation. Otherwise, thank you very much for spending an hour with me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, JF, for that very powerful conversation that you initiated. I just wanted to take this opportunity to share with you, colleagues. I see a few more questions. We'll try to get that to JF, and let's see if he will be able to correspond via email, and we'll definitely send that. And we just wanted to quickly promote that we do have some certification programs if you're interested to take a look at opportunities to get yourself certified. And these are the schedules we actually have online, commencing in October. And also we have face-to-face in Kuala Lumpur, hopefully when JF comes back to Kuala Lumpur. And of course, the lockdown eases up a bit, and it's scheduled in November. And we also do have some programs here by American Management Association as well, which is scheduled. We have coaching from a distance, developing your team when you can't be face-to-face, and also how to coach a virtual team. So you can check our website for this, for both programs, even the certification and coaching program. And we wanted to thank you for your participation. And I hope you also found this conversation about coaching and how to cultivate emotional and mental wellness very interesting. I learned a lot today myself, and we appreciate your participation and attending. And we would like to request, if we would love to hear your feedback. So please go ahead and scan this QR code. And we hope to see you in our upcoming Learning Forum series. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you also, JF.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon and a good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Nelia.
Stay safe, Chris.
You too.